Hello, bonjour, guten Tag, hola. Yes, I'm Tom Deacon and I am a Southampton FC fan.
Hail, hail, and welcome to the HomeBhoys Extra podcast with myself, Joe McKenna. As usual on HomeBhoys Extra, we go a wee bit away from what we normally talk about and we bring something extra, something different, something a wee bit left of centre. I couldn't go through the list of different types of podcasts we've had up until this stage because, to be honest with you, I can't remember half of them because I might have been pissed during most of them. So let's just be being honest. So this week we've gone out and we've got ourselves a bit of a get in terms of podcasting. If anybody has been following the Eurofan on YouTube, we spoke about the Eurofan just after the Spartak Celtic game that we all watched and truly enjoyed. And the Eurofan's name came up on one Monday night live podcast. And bizarrely, a couple of weeks later, I happened to bump into the Eurofan in Belfast. And he agreed to come on to the podcast. So with us today, we have Tom Deacon.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail. Adopted Celtic fan, Southampton fan, the Eurofan, stand-up comic, king of Radio 1. The list of accolades goes on and on. We have also been joined by Jason Higgins, as usual.
How you doing, mate?
And the Parrot, Stephen Monaghan.
How you doing, guys?
So we're going to get down to business and we're going to talk to Tom Deacon. Tom, just give us a bit of a hello there.
Hey, how you doing? You good?
We're good. We're all looking forward to having a chat with you. First things first, you have probably what I would describe as the best job in the world, being the Eurofan, right? I seen a guy on Soccer AM a couple of years ago, and he was the physio for the Swedish ladies national football team, and I thought he had the best job in the world. But it turns out you have the best job in the world, going around the Champions League and being a home supporter of different teams. First things first, where did this idea come from, Tom?
Well, just to say, I wouldn't mind doing work experience with that fella for the Swedish ladies national team. But yeah, I have to say I do have the jammiest job because I get to go and watch Champions League football all around Europe, which is incredible. But it came about from a little idea I had from an Edinburgh comedy show I was doing, and where I needed to complete a sticker album, a football sticker album, and I decided I would probably go around to Europe and try and meet the players and get them to sign the sticker album, and then a guy said to me, well, you know what, why don't we combine this idea we've got where we travel around and watch football, and that's kind of how the Eurofan came about, really. Just being a jammy guy watching incredible football.
And how do you pick the teams you're going to go and see?
Well, the idea is to try and get the best atmosphere. So the Eurofan, I know I'm a Southampton fan, you just mentioned that, but I take on board whatever team I go and watch, the home side, and try and find out what it's like to be a fan for that team. We kind of look at, like, teams that might not make it through the competition, so that we get to see the team before they get knocked out.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, you're my Celtic podcast here, come on.
Hey, no, I didn't mean like that. I mean, because the idea is, you know that Barca are going to be towards the end of the competition. You know Real Madrid are going to be up there. You know United may make it. So the idea is I try and see them before a team gets knocked out. Like, we genuinely thought Malaga aren't going to do it this year, and they've surprised everyone. But it was an amazing experience to go to Spain and watch them, and also hopefully the more we want to get the Eurofan name out there, so we're going to clubs that have a big online support, like Celtic, for example.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the reason you're on here, well, not the reason you're on here, one of the reasons we wanted to get you on here is because your Celtic video when you went to the Spartak game, everybody was talking about it because, one, you're such a pleasant guy and you got great charisma and you're a really good crack, but you also really embrace the whole sort of, well, every club you go to, you embrace what's going on around among the fans. I think Celtic fans got really attracted to that. But you got some great tickets as well when you went. You were starting right in front of the Green Brigade, weren't you?
Oh yeah, no, I think. Wait, just correct me. It was at the East Stand because I drank a bit before I got there. So it was the East Stand, isn't it?
Well, we just call it the Rangers end. That was the old traditional Rangers end up that side of the stadium. The Celtic end's other. So one's the Jock Stein, one's the Lisbon Lions stand. You get the north stand's the big one, and then the south stand's the main stand.
I think it was the Lisbon Lions just down in the corner. I could looking to my left, I could see all the Spartak fans singing away at the beginning of the match, and it soon changed. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was incredible to pop along and go and see it. But just to kind of immerse myself in with the Green Brigade was interesting, to say the least.
Did you? Well, tell you what, we'll get on to a bit more of a Green Brigade topic later on in the podcast. I watched a lot of your videos, and the one place you didn't seem to have an awful lot of fun among the fans was Paris.
Yeah,
right?
I couldn't agree more with you.
There just seemed to be no crack at all.
Well, it's interesting, right, Joe? Because we record for like 24 hours straight, and then we edit it together, and you get like a 10-minute package of my experience. But we couldn't really go into how hostile it was in Paris. We just because we want to make a good video that the club want to endorse and say, here's a good insight into what it's like to be a fan of our club. So we don't want it to be negative if we do find any negativity. But Paris was it was the most unpleasant place to be wandering around before the game, but actually in the ground was incredible and afterwards. But there was such a big police presence because some of the Dynamo Zagreb fans weren't allowed to travel. There was no fans allowed in the stadium, but about 50 of them travelled the night before, got into a massive fight, I think near the Champs-Élysées, some tourist attraction, and the police were ramped up. Barricaded roads. You had to have a ticket. Couldn't go here. They wanted to search this. It was very intimidating. I've never watched a football match like it.
That was the only thing I would pick up on, Tom, apart from your Celtic video when we interviewed the young lady outside the ground, and she said the atmosphere wasn't the way that it used to be going to the PSG games, and I know there's a lot of infighting at the club with the managers not wanted there, the fans didn't want him, he replaced a very popular guy sort of thing.
Yeah, but it's more than that. I mean, not to bore you, but about 10 years ago, the Paris Saint-Germain fans wanted to have an atmosphere like it was in England. So they called one end of the stadium is called the Boulogne, and they called it the Cop Boulogne. They wanted to be like Anfield. And that was kind of your neo-fascist kind of...
I've been there. I could definitely resonate to that, yep.
It's deafening. It was absolutely deafening. And then the other end, the club were like, well, we can't have a bad rep. Let's give a lot of the tickets at the other end to the sort of the poorer areas of Paris, in the estates, and they predominantly a lot of old colonies for France, like Moroccan, Algerian, Tunisian people. And then so you imagine the other end absolutely despises people like that. So what you'd have is on away matches, they would end up fighting each other. It was a really, really bad period, and that's but that's what the Paris Saint-Germain real hardcore ultras miss about that game. But I mean, it sounds bizarre, but they say there's no atmosphere at the stadium anymore, and hooliganism has been really clamped down on. So no one wants to say how passionate they are as a Paris Saint-Germain fan. So when I was wandering around Celtic, great, everyone wants to tell me how much they love the club and how amazing it is. But in Paris, they were a bit like, is this being filmed? I don't want to be seen on camera. And that's really kind of, it puts a real sourness to the whole experience as the Eurofan.
Yep. See, when you mentioned Paris Saint-Germain, I went there. Celtic played them, I think it was 1995 or whatever. Or 1996, we played Paris Saint-Germain, and I went to Paris, and the police presence was terrible. But one thing I noticed about your video is when you were under the Eiffel Tower, there was no Dinamo Zagreb fans. I didn't know that they were banned, so obviously that explains it. But when we were there, it was just all green and white. It was Celtic fans everywhere. And we ended up getting two sections of the stadium. We got the official away end. We sold that out, and there was that many Celtic fans who bought tickets for their end. They opened up another bit of the stand across from the away end and put us in there. But I can remember back that the Cop de Boulogne was over to our right, and they had a big Rangers flag, and it was all your sort of neo-Nazis. And the bit next to us was really friendly. That was all your immigrant community. And they had a thing, PSG Irish clan, and they had loads of like sort of North Africans and stuff like that. And they were very friendly towards us, because Celtics, we've sort of got a very sort of left-wing kind of support.
Yeah, I saw the Palestinian flag when I was in the Spartak game. I saw that, and so yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, so we would always sort of lean towards the left wing type teams, but it was dead interesting because Paris Saint-Germain had a massive split. One end of the ground was total Nazi fascist. Another end of the ground was very left wing, like immigrant community. And it was like strange.
Yeah, they support the same club, so I can understand how how weird that must be. I mean, we ended up going in a bar after the game, and I'm sure you did as well. And we got chatting to this one French guy. But I said, "Oh, who do you support?" And he said, "I support Paris Saint-Germain, but I don't really support them anymore." And I said, "Oh, why is that?" And he said, "Well, I used to be in a you kind of look in we're basically a hooligan sort of community. They had lots of different ones, and he showed me all these pictures on his phone where the scarf's over his face and they've got their bandana and he was saying how they used to love it because they used to meet up before the game with the opposition, the away team, have a fight, and then go for a beer afterwards. And in his world, he was like, well, it's ruined now. I can't do that, so I don't go and support the team anymore. So, it's crazy, really.
Bizarre.
How much research do you do, Tom, before you go, or you very much just sort of go, right, I'm going to show up on the doorstep of these clubs and sort of see what the fans have got to offer? Because it does seem very much about the fans as well, the stuff you do. I mean, were you aware of Malaga before you went there? Were you aware of the expats that were kind of sort of massive Malaga fans now?
Yeah, well, yeah, you just have to have a little bit of research, find out if there's any sort of fan sites that are really, passionate that you can chat to, potentially meet up within that city so that you can have someone to chat to and hopefully give you a guide round. But yeah, the Malaga was brilliant because loads of expats in a pub that was like I was in England, and rather than being in the middle of Spain. And one guy to me, Dave, I think it was his name. We get to the ground and they've got seated allocation, but everyone stands. And I went, so where's your seat? And he went, mate, I've been a season ticket for 7 years now, mate. I don't even know where my seat is. So these incredible guys who were just up for the jolly, all passing all sorts of cocktails around during the match. And that was my first experience. And what was nice about it was all the Spanish fans of Malaga were right next to the expats, the Brits. And just getting on like a house on fire, like absolutely loving each other's sort of enthusiasm and passion for football. And I knew that at that point, if the Eurofan experience is going to be like that every time, meeting the fans, then I'm going to have an absolute jolly.
What did you know about Celtic before you went up to Glasgow? Were you aware of Celtic? I mean, as an English football fan, or was it kind of something that you just sort of kind of half knew about but weren't too sure about?
I know because part of my family are over in Northern Ireland, so I've seen different kits, Rangers and Celtic, all the time, to be honest. But one of my best friends is a big Celtic fan, and I watched the game. I'm sure you remember. I don't know if you may have missed it. It wasn't a big one. It was when you beat Barcelona this year.
I was working that night.
I had it on the radio. I wasn't really paying attention. And I kind of I've always known about Celtic. I've obviously been a Saints fan and watching Gordon Strachan, and I knew a lot about the players. Which ones you've had in the past, and but to know really what it's like to be a fan around Gallagate and the Barras and places like that, then I had no understanding. So that's why I like, as the Eurofan, to just hang out with the fans to kind of find out what it's really like to be on match day.
It was dead interesting, the Celtic video you made, and obviously you came up and you didn't. So did you genuinely not have a ticket? Was this all? Is everything genuine, legit? Yeah. So you went on, obviously, I think it was Real Radio, and you done a broadcast, and then I just think as Celtic fans, we love to embrace our own and see someone that shows a genuine interest in our club. We'll always go out our way to try and help them. And I think it's we love to sort of showcase our club and show the world for what it is. Yeah. And people maybe get a misconception of Rangers are dead now, so whatever. But I mean, this sort of old firm rivalry, if people get a misconception that it's horrendous and it's this sectarianism and that, and you obviously being an English guy coming to a Celtic game, what was your experience of the fans? What honest opinion, did you think they were excellent, or do you think there was an undercurrent to anything dodgy? Or give us your honest opinion, Tom, what you thought of the Celtic fans.
Well, I'm glad you asked me, because I found it, the game was incredible. The singing, the atmosphere, second to none. I've never experienced anything like Celtic Park. The people around me that were really helpful. I mean, bumped into a Northern Irish man called George Green. Here's amazing. George Green helped me out a lot, and he managed to get me a ticket. It was incredible, and that was the whole video was me just trying to get a ticket from 7 a.m. in the morning till just before the game. And there was another Northern Irish lad called Seamus, and he had 2 tickets for me. So it all came together. And like, you want to know, like, is it planned? No, it was really off the cuff, kind of let's go out, see what happens. And if I don't get a ticket to the ground, then I will go into a pub where Celtic fans are, because, you know, not every fan can get to the stadium, not every fan. So it's good for the Eurofan to get that experience at some point, being with all the fans, just watching it in the pub. And it's easier to get to the bar as well, which I would like very much. But in terms of, I don't know, like the sectarianism that you have, I found it quite bizarre. But because I hadn't had that experience of it in English football, so but I didn't find it intimidating.
I don't think we have got sectarianism. But I'm interested to find out what you think. So on you go, mate. Sorry.
No. Well, this is it. I mean, because my experience has been that it hasn't been. I mean, I did find there was a lot of Celtic fans who couldn't really care less about Rangers at this point, and then because they're in, you know, Division 3, and then you've got a lot of Celtic fans who miss having Rangers 4 times a year coming along for the big Scottish Premier League games. So you know, so I found it quite interesting. But as for the sectarianism, I don't know. I think it was a couple of the Northern Irish characters that I met along the way who were very, you know, mentioning this, that, and the other about Ireland, IRA, getting into conversations like that, which I found quite uncomfortable. But then I had to immerse myself into that world to kind of understand how some people view their club and how passionate they are. So I found it very interesting, and obviously, you know, room for like chatting about it a lot. But then again, you don't see that, I guess, when you go to the game.
Oh no, you get. I understand what you mean with that kind of chat. You know, that does happen. You know, so that's fair enough. But I don't think there's a. I think sectarianism, the way you class it, I just don't think. I think people feel passionate about Ireland and the struggle that's in Ireland and stuff like that. I wouldn't class that as sectarianism at all. I would just class that as, it's different. Sectarianism to me is like a religious sort of bigotry and things like that, and I don't think you get that at Celtic Park. I don't know. I just don't. But on you,
the woman next to me at the game, who was brilliant. She ended up getting me a bovril, which I haven't had at a football ground before.
Oh, hope you didn't eat anything, mate. You never had a pie. You wouldn't even hear the just now.
I managed to get it. I had a hot dog. That was it. But she was great. But I remember, and I'm asking you guys to help me out on this. She said that Neil Lennon will never be Celtic. That was her comment, her words. Neil Lennon will never be Celtic. Now, I don't understand what that means, where her viewpoint is, but I just found it very interesting that, you know, you're winning 2-1, you're going through, everyone's singing, we're off on a little journey to Wembley, but yet there's still something. It's nothing's perfect, which I love about football clubs anyway. But she said Neil Lennon will never be Celtic. Now I don't understand what that means. And
I have neither they are.
Yeah, she might have been drunk.
I've honestly no idea what she's talking about, mate. I have no clue whatsoever. Neil Lennon will never be Celtic. I don't know.
That's like saying Matt Letizia is not Southampton.
Oh, mate, don't start me. Don't start me up. He is 100%. What she said about like how the Celtic fans can't voice their opinion against the manager. She was sort of saying that, really, and how you can't say that he's done a bad job. He seems to be well protected and looked after at Celtic. I mean, I'm not putting my opinion here. I'm just saying what she said.
One of the things that, I mean, there's loads of Celtic fans that look for a reason to complain about stuff, right? Because Celtic fans have had years of, they've had loads of like long periods where they've had nothing but complain about stuff. Like even when Strachan was manager and we're going through the last 16 of the Champions League, because the football wasn't attractive, everybody was complaining. But even though things were going great, I think there's a certain element, I don't know whether it's of all football clubs, but there's a certain element of Celtic supporters that just want to complain about something.
I think it's every club, to be honest. I think, you know, even when the good's good, you know, people have to find something that, he shouldn't be in the team. Why are we hanging him? Everyone wants to kind of be a little mini manager themselves. So maybe I just, you know, just got that one person next to me.
No. The thing is, mate, it's like the same as any football club. It's a broad church. You've got loads of different opinions with people how the club should move forward, opinions on managers, players, and stuff like that. So you've just got somebody next to you maybe doesn't fancy Neil Lennon's a manager, and that's fine. You know, as long as they pay their money, go and watch the club, support the club, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. You know, and Neil Lennon's not perfect. You know, he's a young manager learning his trade, and I think he's doing not too bad. But we've got this show that we do like a live call-in show every week, and people come in and the four guys in the panel, we've got different opinions, you know, and then you've got the fans calling in and we're arguing and stuff like that, and that's just what football fans are all about. I think it's quite healthy as well, having different opinions among the support. So yeah, and Celtic. The support is like every other fan base in a certain extent, that we've all got our own opinions, we all know the way we want the club to go forward and stuff like that, and I think that makes for sort of healthy debate, mate.
No, well, I mean, what I found when you asked me the question, what did I really find? I mean, when I went into the Bowers and the Gallagher area and hung out in the pubs before the match, that was we sang "You'll Never Walk Alone" in the pub. That was you one of those moments in a football match you get that tingling, because I'd heard about it, but in the pub everyone embraced me, let me in, and you know, it did help that I was wearing a Celtic kit, obviously, but it sort of took me under their wing, and I think when you said about Celtic fans, you know, if you show that enthusiasm or you have a sort of little bit of passion, they'll pick up the rest. They'll pick up the rest of the tab, I guess, and they took me under their wing. So I would love to go back, and it was, you know, at some point, it was really good. It was a warming experience to sort of hang out with the Celtic fans.
Yeah, well, after this, we'll give you our details, and anytime you want to come up, mate, you've got an open invitation. We'll get you tickets and sort you out and take you to the Gallagate and show you the real deal. But as I say, that is where Celtic's heartland is. You know, they pubs run about the Gallagate and heading up to the ground. That is, you were in true Celtic country there, and I think you did get the real experience. You know, so. That's brilliant. But Joe, I'd love to ask a few questions here, mate, if it's all right.
Go ahead, that's what it's for. Right?
Yeah. So you obviously done a lot of travelling about with different things. So cut to the chase. What was your best? What was your worst? Well, obviously, I think Paris was probably your worst, David. It was your worst viewing anyway. When I watched it, it wasn't up to much, and I've been there myself, and it's not a football city at all.
Well, we were supposed to meet a woman who is a slight. Well, she basically what she does now. She used to be a porn star, and she used to. What she does now is she predicts the score on her Twitter. She'll write down the score on her breast. So,
seen that 3-1. I actually noticed the score rather than the breasts.
Yeah. So we were supposed Virginia Caprice, I think her name is. Not that I googled her much, and she was supposed to meet me, and we were going on this sort of fake date. And I think what you see in the video of me in Paris is basically a very angry man because a woman has let him down and not turn up for the date. So that came across, to be honest with you. But yeah, no. But then again, I have to say, I met 3 or 4 Paris Saint-Germain fans who were fantastic. The guy that I gave the Saint shirt to, absolute legend, and he was really nice, and he told me everything about it. And I guess that's kind of what the Eurofan needs. Is when I was in Moscow, I met a couple of fans who really sort of, you know, took me under their wing and then told me everything I needed to know to become a Spartak fan. But in Celtic, it helped that I could understand everyone. That was the best thing. Whereas in Russia, you have to have a translator that translates something. I mean, the guy in the bar who ran that the bar in Moscow, he used to be part of the firm, to say the least. And he's having a film made about him by this movie director in Moscow for hooliganism. I mean, I was hanging out with the proper firm, and it was, but you know, but he sort of took me under his wing and appreciated me going along to support Spartak. So there was kind of beautiful little moments like that where I didn't, you know, end up being in serious pain because I got into a fight, which was nice. But I think the best moment, I think for me, like I say, was when I first experienced what Champions League football was like, you know, because unfortunately Southampton haven't been there yet, was in Malaga. I thought that was an incredible experience, but, you know, just because of the atmosphere, just the fact that they have people singing making the whole stand sing. They don't even watch the game. They just got their drum and a megaphone, and I love that passion. That, you know, and when I came back to watch Southampton in the Premier League, I was like, what happened to the atmosphere? Where's that? You know, so now I've got this addiction to Champions League football and hanging out with the ultras. It's, you know, it's amazing.
Yeah, and obviously we've been warm at night, and the food and stuff like that. Going to football in Spain is a pleasant experience, to say the least.
Actually, I had a friend. I never realised, Tom, till I watched your video for the Malaga game. I actually had a friend at that match that evening who's a Celtic fan. Him and his wife went for a romantic few days, and they had a few too many cervezas before the match, and convinced the 20 Malaga fans sitting round them that the football team who have died in Glasgow's old manager Advocat was still in charge of Zenit St Petersburg. So my mate Davey said for 90 minutes, booing Advocat, you're a wanker, this and that. Convinced all these Malaga fans that some English guy come up after the game and went, it's actually an Italian that manages him, mate. You do realise that. So Davey couldn't get back to his hotel quick enough, you know.
There was one Scottish guy called John whose team is Hibs, but he's also a Malaga fan. He's lived out here now. So I was meeting all these people. It was like Ocean's 11. I can describe it. Like, you meet all these lads who they've got their team back home in England, but now they're in Malaga. That's it. Malaga's their team, and they're an absolute jolly. So I can understand how people can get a little bit drunk before the game.
It was a bit like being in Buster, wasn't it, with Phil Collins?
Oh, it was yeah. To be honest, yeah. I mean, they played like Madness. They played old ska tracks on the coach on the way to the ground. It was like a mix between Butlins meets just this drive. It was just mental. It was just mental experience, but I just couldn't stop laughing. It was just, you know, a great experience, really. But then Romania was good as well because they're such a small club. And when I got to sing with the Chefre Cluj fans at the United fans, you know, in past experience, it was like, it's going to kick off. It's genuinely going to kick off. We're singing at another, you know, the away fans. By the end of it, you just got these mancs who are like, mate, when you come over to Old Trafford, you stay at my house. Like, just these amazing moments where people just, like, were just passionate about football. And I think that was because Chefre was such a small club. They were just on an absolute jolly to be there. So, you know, so many experiences. I can't give one moment, but I think that moment that penalty went in for Celtic, knowing that Benfica was still drawing with Barcelona, that was up there. Didn't stop bouncing around in Celtic Park.
Good stuff. So what? But the Galatasaray one, that's always sort of intrigued me. I go to watch Celtic everywhere, and I've been all over Europe following Celtic, and I'd say probably the most mental place I went to was we played Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia. That was a bit crazy, but generally Celtic fans got on well. Wherever we go, we're treated pretty well. The locals are pretty nice to us, so you generally have a good experience. But a couple of places I wouldn't fancy going is Turkey and Greece. You know, if we drew a Greek team or a Turkey, I just think the fans are a bit mental. So what was your experience in Istanbul?
Well, it's a mad place. It's mad. I've never been to Turkey before, and it's almost like a different. Obviously it's different culture in certain aspects. But my favourite moment was in the market, the big market that the new Skyfall James Bond film was filmed at.
Grand Bazaar.
The Grand Bazaar, that's it, yeah. I wanted to call it Hawkins Bazaar, but it's not that. It's not a shop where you buy toys. I wandered around, I met some Galatasaray fans. There was one that had this incredible moustache on him, and I happened to, and you can see it in the video, I sort of say to the camera, I've just met up with Freddie Mercury here, and just dropped this kind of, if he'd have known or heard me, it could have really been sort of, but, you know, it's a little bit of banter, really, but I was expecting it to be mental, and it was once we got down to where the old Welcome to Hell was, the original Galatasaray Stadium. They've got a new one now, and I got my ball stolen off me, and I wasn't willing to grab it back, to be honest, because they were quite, you know, they were mental. Right. And when they started singing about Leeds, I was a bit like, really? Is this really what you're going to do? But that's not the reflection of what a lot of the Galatasaray fans were like. They were really passionate, supporters, and Hell is very noisy. But I think I was a home team fan. If I was an away team fan, I might have found it very different, that place.
Yeah, you would have been tied to a chair and have your balls beaten with a bat, I think.
You need a Liam Neeson place.
Aye.
Well, it was good to see you take. It was good to see you take the VIP ticket. You done the right thing there, Tom. Get in,
Well, it's one of the regrets actually, because they didn't have beer. So I mean, I thought it was going to be VIP. The drinks were going to be on tab, but no. I would have actually liked to have preferred to be down with the ultras singing away. Because it was a bit devoid of atmosphere. We're talking about some of the richest people in Turkey I was sat in a box with, and that's great. It's very nice, but I felt like a small child, just like with parents there. You couldn't sing, you couldn't cheer. So, So I would prefer to actually been down with the actual Galatasaray fans.
Am I right in saying that the Galatasaray Stadium, that's in the European side of Istanbul, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's Fenerbahce. Or is it? Yeah, Fenerbahce is in the Asian side of Turkey, and I think Besiktas are also the European side. But yeah, Galatasaray is the more European side of the line, the divide.
Is that one of your old stops there, Vincent?
I was actually in my younger days. Actually, that was I left a ship there when we were warned. It's what it had. I don't know if it's still going. Istanbul had an area called the Cages, which was notorious for white slave trading, and I know a few lads that get a bit drunk and ended up with ladies in the night and woke up the next day in a cage and had to be brought back by the rest of the crew.
No.
Honestly, mate, you're a lucky man. It makes Amsterdam look like Southampton, that place.
That's incredible.
So, Tom, all the days you've went and walked, do you look out for the results now, or you're just a one club man, you're just a Saints fan, or do you take an interest? And then the clubs that you've went seen, do you make plans, go back and see them, stuff like that?
Yeah, no, massively. It's really weird because I love Football Manager, I love Championship Manager, FIFA's my thing. I'm kind of a stat-based, supporter. So I just can't help it. Just cannot help it. Like with the idea of like completing a football sticker album, I'm quite stat-based, addicted to little just stuff that everyone goes, why would you be interested in that, Tom? I'm like, well, he's played 5 games, he scored 2 goals, like as if I'm some sort of manager. But I look on a website, Soccerway, to find out the latest how Chefre in Romania are doing, how Malaga are doing, and Celtic as well. I know your next game's next Saturday, so so like, yeah, I do watch, and I look at all the clubs now, and some are doing better than others. Like Spartak lost 6-1 the other week, and then Cluj are doing very well. Paris Saint-Germain drew yesterday, so yeah. Now it's kind of like I've taken on 6 new clubs to support, which is really going to piss off my girlfriend, to be honest.
See, the reason I ask is I take a bit of stick on various Celtic only one Celtic website really. I take a bit of stick because I've got a load of clubs as well that I follow. Celtic's my club, so if Celtic play anyone in the world, I want Celtic to win. So, yeah. But I've got loads of likes in other countries, but they all relate to Celtic. Everything's been initiated by my love of Celtic and through. Because for instance, my English team would be Everton, and the reason being in the 80s. They used to have the half and half bobble hats, and you used to see the Gladys Street, and when they had Adrian Heath, Graham Sharp, and stuff like that. And the Gladys Street, it was all blue and green hats because they had half Celtic, half Everton hats. Yeah. And then at Celtic Park, we had the bobble hats as well. So I started like that. I picked them as my team. And I went to Ibiza, I met a lot of Scousers, and they were all like Celtic fans as well. So I was actually at the Everton game yesterday. It was terrible. Right. But I keep in contact with loads of Scousers, and they come up to watch Celtic, I go and watch Everton. And I've also, in La Liga, Athletic Bilbao, the Basque. I go to the Basque country and watch Athletic Club, and they come over here to watch us. I've a team in Holland that I thought was sort of Roda JC, and it's only because I met 2 Roda fans that were over at a Celtic Rangers game, so I just get in contact with them as well. So everything sort of resonates around Celtic, but I'd love to go to Argentina to see Independiente because they hate racing club. It was a racing club when Celtic played the World Club Championship 1968. I hate racing club. So the team that hates racing club the most, obviously, is the team that I like the most in Argentina. So no, I love football. I love watching it in other countries and stuff. I find it fascinating. I just love it.
I imagine Argentina. Right. Argentina's a place I've always wanted to go to as well because it just looks absolutely bananas.
I'd love to go. Have you been there? I take it.
Well, I've just been reading the Daily Telegraph today. If you're a honky, I wouldn't go there for the next few years. It's hotting up. No, I've been by it. It's I know a few lads that sort of jumped ship in Uruguay and they had a month in Argentina and said it's absolute paradise. You know.
Mm. That's near Antarctica, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah, I've done.
Well, I'm up to
that's a private joke here, Tom.
Yeah. I understand. I've heard of Paradise. Well, this Saturday, in fact, I'm off to see the Klassiker, the Dutch Klassiker, Ajax versus Feyenoord. And I've been mingling in with the Ajax fans, kind of for the Eurofan, with another guy who's a football blogger called KSI. We're going along really because we haven't been able to put anything out as the Eurofan for a month and a bit. So February the 12th will be the next game. So we want to go to Amsterdam. It's only an hour away from London. So so I'm going to go to that. I mean, but I have a real passion for football. I mean, yesterday I went and saw AFC Wimbledon play for no other reason than just because it was a bit of a jolly. Like a few of our mates from Copper 90 who make Eurofan went along and just had a day out. And I'm not an AFC Wimbledon fan, but I have a kind of appreciation for them because I had a wicked day. And I think that's kind of what football's about. You go out, you have the time with the boys, have a drink or two, have some food, go and watch the football, and just get on it. Just have an absolute wicked time. Then you've kind of got an appreciation for them because there's that nostalgia in the back of your mind. Malaga was amazing for me. So was Cluj, Chefre. Paris Saint-Germain wasn't so great, but I still kind of like them. So yeah, I can totally understand. You can not support, but have a love for more than one team.
Yeah. Can I ask you?
I totally agree, mate.
Can I ask you, Tom? Obviously, Glasgow, we have suffered a tragedy, and in some people's eyes, a football team's evaporated, and the reformed shells playing in Glasgow. How's the feeling in the south coast of England about in Southampton with Portsmouth vanishing, sort of thing down the leagues? Are you distraught over it?
I'm personally myself. I don't want to see them go out of existence. That then we wouldn't have a big rival. But am I happy that they're suffering? Well, I guess so a little bit because it sort of for years they were the lower than Southampton when we were in the Premiership, and then all of a sudden Pompey just rocketed, winning the FA Cup, and I remember going to watch at Southampton in the FA Cup. They dicked us 4-1, and it was painful to watch. It was painful. So now I'm quite happy that they're not as strong a side, but I'd prefer it really if they were at the best, Southampton were at the best, and we were still beating them. Then I'd be, I think that would be ideal because then even at their peak, we could still beat them. That's what I'd really like. Which I imagine that's the same for you guys, really, because you know that you've got Rangers, a weakened team. They don't
not at all.
Not at all, mate. Not at all. You're quite happily there, mate, to be honest with you.
Totally polar opposite opinions to you there, mate, but carry on.
Well, I'm trying to be a little bit... Well, because we're not in the same city, Portsmouth and Southampton, we just got a rivalry, but... no, I don't... I mean, the problem is my uncle lives down in Portsmouth, and he's a Pompey fan, so it's kind of like, I'm a bit like... I don't particularly like them because I'm not supposed to, but I don't want them to go out of existence. Then who would we have to really get excited about playing? You know what I mean?
I get what you mean, yeah.
The thing about Portsmouth is, I couldn't name you one sort of former Portsmouth star that I enjoyed ever watching. Whereas at Southampton you have Letizia, Pahars. You got some really, really good players go through Southampton that you can pick out as being outstanding players. I couldn't pick up one outstanding Portsmouth player. Maybe Kanu, maybe?
Sylvain Distin.
Yeah,
Sylvain Distin, I suppose.
David James played for them at one point.
Merson wasn't bad.
Yeah. Well, they had some good players, which is fine, but But I'm every time I look at League One and I see that they're struggling, I've got a cheeky smile on my face. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I found them. Sorry, Jason, I worked in both cities quite a lot, and I found Southampton people more chilled out. I found Portsmouth people like being plastic cockneys, very aggressive. I knew one lad, God love him, who was a Southampton fan when you guys were in the lower leagues, and he had to drive his works van to Portsmouth every day where he worked, and he had Southampton stickers on the back of it, and it come back like the A-team's van at the end of every day, just covered in all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, well, I even just like, sometimes, you have it in Glasgow, but on a Saturday, that was the day you go to town, you do your shopping, whatever you need to do. In Southampton, you might get a couple of people, not even on a match day wearing a Saints kit, but in Portsmouth, everyone wears their kit. It's that kind of pride, it's that, sort of thing. And I would never dream of going down to Portsmouth with a Saints kit on, but when Portsmouth were in the Premiership, they all came to Southampton with their tops on, and I think that just shows the kind of level of they had to prove something by coming to Southampton wearing their Pompey kits, whereas we're not really that fussed. And I kind of see where you mean that chilled out. We like to beat them, but we don't really care about them. And I think that's that's the team that's above the other team that you just go, well, they're below us, so I don't care.
No. Yep, and I've seen Southampton play once, mate, and it's a bad memory for yourself, but it was at Goodison Park and Everton won 7-1. I was at that game.
Thank you for reminding me.
I know. But I have to pull you up for your Celtic documentary. There's a thing that rankles with me, and it's this bloody deep-fried Mars bar pish. Because this is just nonsense. I've never tried one of them. I've never even seen one in my life.
I know.
It's this Scottish thing that is sort of manifested over the years, where it's a famous delicacy in Scotland. And nobody's even got a clue about it. I don't know where it started from, because nowhere sells them. But I thought it's quite interesting. The wee extra bit you show them at the gaggle, take a bite of it. And then she's like, what?
Yeah, well, I didn't mind it, but we kind of just thought we'd put it in just for the kind of a bit of banter. But yeah, you're right. I don't know I've never seen anyone actually order one, unless there's someone who's in Scotland as a tourist who thinks that it's the cuisine.
Yeah, and the national dish in Scotland is actually pie, probably the same as anywhere else.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite funny, but just the old stereotype. But I suppose that's what these shows are about and stuff like that. Actually play to the galleries, but no, it was interesting. It was funny. The extra that you put in, I laughed at that. It was really good.
One of the things that stood out in your Celtic video, Tom, that I think a lot of Celtic fans probably sort of, that made them sort of embrace you a bit more, was when you met the guy in town and you went out of your way to sort of give him the spare ticket as well.
Yeah. That was just because we could, and we knew that he was so off camera, just so like, because he came and chatted to us when we were standing there and just said, sorry, did anyone hear someone was trying to get a ticket? Can I get a ticket off you? So he thought that we had some tickets going spare. And he was like, well, yeah, I'm willing to pay whatever I can. And we ended up giving a ticket for free. So it was kind of, we managed to get one. So just helping another Celtic fan to get in and watch it. And he was very, very passionate singing next to me. So it was good to have him with me, actually.
Yeah, it was great because that really sort of stood out for me, because that's part of the sort of Celtic ethos,
Yeah.
As we would say it.
No, absolutely, Joe. I would echo that. I thought it was really good. And one thing about a Celtic game, I've noticed going to other games throughout you'll never ever see a Celtic fan touting a ticket.
No.
So it's face value only. You'll never see a guy holding tickets up and asking for more money than it's worth. In games that I've been throughout Europe, you get ticket touts everywhere. People, it's a big game. Obviously, there's a big demand for it. People will be asking over the odds for a ticket, and Celtic fans just don't do that. You'd be somebody take it off you. If you were touting tickets, it just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't be allowed. And I think that's something we sort of pride ourselves on as well. If a Celtic fan needs a ticket, it's face value, and that goes without saying.
Yeah, well, just that sentiment as well with good old George Green from Belfast was just said, well, you have to get in, you have to get a ticket. I'll make some calls, and just that kind of, you'd rather have all of your Celtic boys in there supporting your team as opposed to like you say, trying to make some profit or go, I can't be asked to make a couple of calls to see if I can get you in the ground. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone seemed very willing to. Everyone was as at one, really, which was good.
Yeah, no, that's something we sort of pride ourselves on. And, I've had loads of guys all over the place coming to Glasgow to watch Celtic. And I had three, I always tell this story, it was fun, I had three Brummies for the last ever Celtic Rangers game and beat them 3-0 at Celtic Park. And I had three Indian guys from Birmingham. And the three of them are Sikhs. And I was saying, don't wear your orange turban. but the three of them had an absolute ball and they just loved it.
Yeah.
And the full, just the carnival atmosphere and stuff like that. And at the end, it was brilliant. Yeah. And Celtic put a song over the Tana. It was brilliant. Well, when will I see you again?
I'm gonna, to be honest with you guys, I'm gonna find it very difficult if I have to support a home team, Juventus, in the next round. So I'm gonna find it very difficult to say the least.
Is that going to be our next game?
No, not necessarily. I think the next one for the Eurofan is going to be Real Madrid versus Man United. I think that's the. Actually, I'm pretty 99% sure I'm going to go and become a Real Madrid fan. So it's going to be.
Don't say that and hear me. It's one of those times in my life I put Man United to win.
Really? Well,
Franco's fast. Just support them.
Well, hopefully Real Madrid haven't been playing very well. I've looked at the stats. They're not flying high at the moment. So and then the following game after that will probably be AC Milan Barcelona. So yeah. So those are the next two games, and then after that, my fingers are crossed that I don't have to support against Celtic.
Oh, well, I would accept you supporting against. That means we're next round, mate. I would take that.
You go into Juve?
I'm undecided. I don't know. I've not booked yet, and I actually doubt.
Do you know what that means, Tom? It means he hasn't asked his wife
where
yet.
I'm going. No, I've not got. She's here. I'm not going now, but I went to Lisbon. I miss a game, but two kids now and stuff. I just can't go to a game, so I'm not going to what you do.
Hey, could I just bring up, Tom, you brought up the thing about the police presence in Paris Saint-Germain, and you were standing in front of the Green Brigade at Celtic Park. Now, we've had numerous conversations on this podcast about the Green Brigade and about how they're treated and stuff. Did you notice any sort of heavy-handedness going in towards that section?
Not at all, but I understand from my experience, for my 24 hours in Glasgow that night, that you've got a lot of Green Brigade fans who are pretty pissed off, to say the least, and I can understand, I can sympathise but my understanding is they put the banners, the big display up against Barcelona, and from no help of the club funding it or putting any money towards it, but then come the Spartak game, you can buy in the shop big posters of the Green Brigade putting up their banners and everything, and so the club are making money back on the Green Brigade without any help, and there seems to be a bit of names being given to police and stuff like that going on, which you kind of, I didn't see anything untoward going on with the Green Brigade. I thought they were just very passionate fans that sang along and sang on and cheered on their team. So I find that quite difficult, why a club would have to begin to chat to the police or be more heavy-handed. But then again, I don't know if there's been any trouble in the past, but I definitely didn't see any, no.
It's kind of become a bit of an exercise, I think, in nitpicking through everything they do. And anything that seems to sort of either happen or kind of mildly even go wrong is kind of pinned on them. Now, I don't know if you noticed in Scotland, especially in Glasgow, the media is kind of, well, I'll just go ahead and say anti-Celtic to a certain degree. So, I mean, and these guys are kind of, they're a face that trouble can be pinned on, you know what I mean? And because they've got big numbers and they are passionate and they really don't give a shit what anybody thinks about them, that they're being slowly demonized constantly by, you know, whether the club have a lot to do with it, I don't know, but definitely the media have a lot to do with it. And, I mean, the police have made a lot of their lives very, very difficult. You're talking about, like, you know, following guys around, you know, and, you know, taking photographs and videos, and just these guys just want to go and see the game. Now they can be kind of radical, and they can maybe step out of lane in terms of some of the things that the banners might say. But I mean, overall, it's all just pretty much good natured, and they bring so much to the stadium.
Yeah. Well, I loved being next to them. They were great. So I mean, yeah, I find that difficult to comprehend, but I understand why they would do it. But it doesn't mean I like it.
Yeah, but I mean, you've been around and seen lots of ultras now. I mean, is there any clubs that you've found where maybe the club doesn't embrace their ultra culture?
I think Paris Saint-Germain was probably the one you could say no one wants to be associated with anyone who's badly viewed by the media. So it would be like Paris. The equivalent of Celtic would be everyone sat next to the Green Brigade would try and not get involved with them because they'd therefore become part of that Green Brigade. They'd be seen demonized in a way. So that was what it was like in Paris Saint-Germain. No one wanted to say that they were a massive fan of PSG. No one wanted to sing any songs for the camera because that would then make them a hooligan. They'd make them a bad person. So I saw that element in Paris Saint-Germain, but everywhere else was the ultra. In Malaga, the tradition is the British guy takes the Malaga flag, runs from one side of the stadium to the other, and on the way back, the police picked him off. Now, this has never happened in the last 4 years they've been doing this. The guy next to me told me. And he got thrown out. And the ultra of that stand, he's the ultra for the expats and the Spanish. He wanted to have a protest. He wanted to get all of that stand to walk out in protest at the police. And they were about to, and I've got it on my phone. Like the riot police came in, and the police said you can't leave because it will look really bad for the club if on their first Champions League night that everyone's left. That side of the stand has left. So the guy was allowed back in. So there was a kind of, I don't know why the police had picked him off just because they could. So I think that the ultras can be quite good because they're there for the passion and the pride of the club, and the club only wants to look good, that their fans are passionate, and So I haven't seen anything bad. I just heard a lot about the Green Brigade and how they've been pretty much victimised, by media and the police. So, but I found them to be fine.
Yeah,
I think it's I don't know. This is me just shooting to the wind here, but I think it's any club sort of they feel a wee bit threatened when there's an organised fan group, and I don't know. I just think the fans have got power because strength is unity and things like that. And you've seen what's happened in Italy, where like clubs like Lazio, like the Irreducibili, their ultra group sort of they play a part and run club sort of thing. I think too much fan unity, I think maybe the clubs view it as a bit of a threat. And I don't know, I just think there's something underhand going on here. I mean, these are all just young guys. They're no football hooligans, they're no criminals. They're just young guys who like going to the game, bringing a bit of colour to the game and enjoying themselves. Right, they're not perfect. But I just think the fact that they're politically motivated and they take an interest in sort of other aspects of life and things like that, the club maybe feels a bit threatened. That's my sort of tuppence worth.
I can understand that because the club needs to be to have the power and the ability to stop fans doing something that they don't want to be. Because the media will say that it's the club's fault. The club will then pinpoint it on someone else. So you don't want the ultras to have all the power because then the club doesn't have the power. But then if you take away the ultras, then you take away the club. Really, you take away that passion on match day, which you can't get from I don't know, your prawn eating cocktail people at the side. You can't. So it has to be a fine balance. But just little things like working with the ultras seems to me like would be the only way to resolve the problem. Not demonise them, work with them, and go well. Set some ground rules, but the club need the Green Brigade, and the Green Brigade need the club. So you have to come to some sort of agreement together.
I mean, absolutely, and I think supporting a club like Celtic, where we've got a lot of fans that come from outside Glasgow and things like that, and the ethos of Celtic was it started off they were called break clubs, and then they became supporters clubs, and it was supporters clubs wherever town you lived in or whatever, or certain areas of Glasgow, they all had their own supporters clubs, and Celtic used to, like for a away ticket, used to dish them out to all supporters clubs, and then they distributed them to their members. So the guys who ran the supporters clubs had a bit of power because they were the guys who were dishing out the tickets.
Yeah.
But Celtic sort of took that away, and a lot of supporters clubs are disbanding now because people need to apply individually through your season book, and you need to be on the away registration, and you get tickets individually. Whereas before, you would get tickets as a supporters club, and you would all stand together and things like that. Yeah. Whereas that's sort of been diluted now. And
well, in Paris, you can't sit two people together. You have to you buy maybe at the most 3 tickets, but you might be spaced around different areas of the ground, so you can't go as like a big group of lads together, or which is that's a way of clamping down on big groups of people, doing whatever they need to do. So
that's the full experience. You go to football is about going with your friends and actually sharing the crack at the game and having a laugh and stuff like that.
Because guaranteed you'll be with the guy that no one really likes out of the group. You'll be the one stuck with him for the whole game. So no one wants that, do they?
I know, Mr. Negative.
Somebody made this point in the show a couple of weeks back. I think it might have been you, Parrot. It said, a lot of modern football has turned into just, it's kind of like the same as going to the theatre, or going to a big event. Some people...
to me, it's a sterilised event. I mean, Tom, you've probably seen it when you left the Dell, as Jace was talking about, a nice little... I mean, I was very lucky. A couple of years ago, I was at the Weymouth v Wrexham game, and I was in with 500 Wrexham fans on the terracing, and everybody was just jumping about and having fun, and it was a celebration of being at a football game. But as you say now, with the event at stadiums like Celtic Park, everybody got their season tickets. And maybe, I know certainly the Drum Chapel bus, a lot of the Erskine buses of lads all sit together. But when you get 1-1-1, all those guys are there focused and they know everybody. Now, where I sit, I maybe know about 10 of the lads sitting and girls sitting round me. But you've sort of lost that thing. You go to a cinema now, and as you say, Tom, you don't know who you're sitting beside, sort of thing, And you try and football's about interacting. The point you make about the Green Brigade is, if you no disrespect the Celtic fans who were very, very noisy in European nights well before the Green Brigade turned up because we had an area called the Jungle. But if you take the Green Brigade out of the majority of Celtic games, it's like going to Old Trafford.
Mm. Yeah,
all football stadium now are the same. And as I say, I think it's important. I mean, as I say, all the stuff. I've loved all your videos. Me and Jason are off a Lithuanian stop. The amount of vodka you drank in Moscow, mate, I'm tipping your hat off to you. So your eyes were rolling like Nuki Bear after
that. I had a Guinness as well. I was a bit like, well, we hadn't eaten as well, but hey, I can come up with more excuses if you want. But they said they wouldn't talk to me unless I sculled another vodka after vodka, and it was. Yeah, it kept me warm, that's the main thing. But yeah, I was tired as well. That's when my eyes were rolling. Let's just say that.
I'll tell you what, mate, when we played them, the game you were at Celtic Park, I mean, the Spartak fans were absolutely paralytic drunk.
Yeah.
They love a drink. I know the Scottish have got a reputation for being big drinkers, but these Russian guys, they certainly love a drink. And I've been on the Celtic website there. Some of the guys to ask you some questions, and one of the questions put to you, I don't know the answers, but you didn't by chance meet a guy at the game called Paul the Tim, did you know?
Not by name. I didn't meet someone by name, but.
Because he's a bit of a Celtic legend. He goes everywhere now. So I wonder, he's always a guy that gets his photo everywhere. He's got his photo with the team, every sort of situation. And he's a great wee guy from Linwood, and he follows Celtic everywhere. But the next time you're there, we must make
I'd love to meet him, that'd be great.
Yeah, Paul Tim, you must meet Paul Tim.
well, I had a picture as everyone, after the game. So the pictures in the background and the rest of the stadium, and a guy just walked past and just sort of shouted, "Oh, it's the Eurofan." I hadn't met him at any point during the day, and that was a really nice sort of feeling that obviously he'd been watching some of the other shows or knew that I was going to Celtic Park. So that was nice. But it would have been good to meet more Celtic fans after the game and before. But maybe next time, like you say.
Meet us at Wembley.
Meet us at Wembley, yeah. Brilliant.
That's it, mate, the final. But see, if you want to do, I know it's like the Champions League, so like Athletic Bilbao don't get into the Champions League that much. But if you want a football experience in La Liga, just keep in contact, let us know, mate, and I could sort out a fantastic Athletic Bilbao experience for you.
Mate, that would be fantastic. Yeah,
yeah. I've got quite a few contacts through various clubs in Europe, so I can maybe help you out in some of the things that you want to go and watch.
When he says clubs in Europe, he means Interpol.
Yeah. I have the delight of going to Coventry in about half an hour to go and do some stand up. But I'd love some more questions before I have to make a move.
Any more questions, lads? Jason, have you any more questions from the CM?
So what was the drunkest you got? Was it the Moscow trip?
Yeah, but without a doubt, that much vodka was lethal. Another Guinness. When we got to the ground, we had another beer. And then we didn't have, the steps up into your seats. I was crushed against the wall for the duration of the game. It was too cold to go for a piss, so I stood there. And then after the game, they kept us back for another 50 minutes as they let row by row go around the ground. And steaming is one word for it.
Steaming.
So yeah, and it was I think the phrase is Baltic. It was Baltic steaming. So that was probably the drunkest I've been.
I have a question here as well. Who is it that has the wandering eye for the ladies? Is it you or is it the guy with the camera?
Hey, I've got an appreciation for the fine female form.
Is your girlfriend in the room, Tom?
No, that's why we're doing this interview. I have an appreciation for any woman that goes along to football who is aesthetically pleasing. I like hot women, but to look at, that's my girlfriend's back in the room now. But yeah, the camera guy. Well, we're just 5 guys that are on this sort of lads tour, so we're very well behaved, but we try to get lots of women into the filming. Just so there's something for everyone. Is that the most diplomatic answer I can give?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds all right, mate. It sounds all right. So what's next for the Eurofan after the Champions League's finished? What's next in the agenda for yourself?
Well, that's kind of up to Copper 90, but I would love to just keep going and maybe the lower league teams at some point. But I mean, I went to AFC Wimbledon yesterday, and it's not the same atmosphere at all of a Champions League. And but I would like to maybe travel around, maybe on an FA Cup run, perhaps before like teams like Hastings United or something like that. But again, as a personal thing, I mean, I'm off to Ajax this Saturday. I would love to go to Brazil to watch football, to Argentina, maybe go and see the biggest rival matches, the big ones like, City United. We go over to see Boca Juniors, that's maybe what the Eurofan becomes the world fan. That could happen. But yeah, it really depends on who wants to fund it, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because we've done a podcast. I've got some good friends in Liverpool, and one of my friends, he started up the Ruleteros, and it's the Everton supporters club, but they follow Everton in Chile and Everton in England. And my 2 mates from Liverpool, I was with Paul and John yesterday, they went on a tour of the Everton clubs in South America. So they went to see Everton in Uruguay, Everton in Argentina, and Everton in Chile. And they done the trilogy of the 3 teams. And it's fascinating stuff listening to them. And they love it, the travels in South America. And the one in Uruguay, they're a tiny team. And I think it was their feast day was the week before they arrived, and they put it off for a week so the guys were there at the time, and they done the ceremonial slaughtering of a cow or something in the main street and cooked it and stuff like that. They said it was absolutely amazing, but great stories and stuff like that. To hear these guys' experiences, absolutely fantastic.
Well, I'd love to have more experiences like that, because I think people want to see that. If you've got a passion about football, you can have an appreciation. You don't have to be a Spartak fan to just enjoy watching how they get ready for a match, as opposed to Paris Saint-Germain. We, as football fans, we want to know what it's like to go to that ground to watch and support, like by going to all of these different grounds. And the better the experience, the more bizarre the experience, the better it would be to record and show people on YouTube.
Yeah, and I think that's see the essence of being a football fan. Take away your rivalry for your city rivals or who you hate and all this kind of stuff. See, at the end of the day, true football fans just want to see their team win, want to have a good day out with their friends, enjoy the banter, and I think no matter what team in the world you support, that's your motivational factor for actually going to the games.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it such an amazing sport. Because we do a baseball podcast on the Hail Media Network as well. Me and one of the guys who normally does HomeBhoys, Harper, and we're big New York Mets fans. The two guys from New York that we get on the podcast with is Frank and Nicky. They're like big Celtic fans as well, but they also follow the US national team, and they're hopefully going to have the New York Cosmos back in New York, and they're massive football fans. And Nicky's off Italian stock, so his team's Salerno, and they're big. They hate Napoli. They're for the south of Italy, and it's no matter where you go in the world, you want to meet people that love football because you can then share the same appreciation. It's just a universal language that we can all speak about, and it's I just love it.
Well, you say about the baseball. I mean, I've been to America like this last year a bit and the year before, and I've become a big NFL fan, American football, and there's so many things that they do, not necessarily the game, but just tailgating and partying before and after the game, which I would love to kind of see over here in our football. Just because it's like you say, it's the motivation, is having a good day out, enjoying the sport that you love. Hopefully your team wins. If not, you know what, you've had a great day. So I would love to actually personally do an American football one, just because I'd get to eat, drink, and have a great day out. But I think we're all sport fans, anyway. So, and to talk about sport and particularly football is it's a passion. So I reckon the Eurofan, i.e. Tom Deacon here, will continue to go and do something sport related. But I hope it continues, and I hope obviously, when I said earlier that Celtic were one of the teams that might not get through, I think they could go all the way. I think I can end on that. I'm going to end on that.
Nice one. Anything you want to plug, Tom, before you go?
Just please keep up to date with the Eurofan's journey. It's at Copper90. Just type that into YouTube, and then you can subscribe as well, because then you get the emails that tell you when you can watch, and it's all free. And you can tweet at the Eurofan.
Excellent. There you go, folks. There's Tom Deacon, the Eurofan. You've got a show on Radio 1 coming up soon, don't you, as well?
Yeah, it starts on Wednesday. It's a comedy show, apparently. So I've got to just put some jokes into it. That starts on Wednesday at 9 p.m. And then, like yourself, Joe, like doing gigs, I'll probably be back to Belfast to do the Empire at some point, and hopefully across to Dublin. If there's anyone in Ireland that wants to book me to do comedy, or even Scotland for that matter, I'll come anywhere and do some stand up.
That's it.
If you get the Stand Comedy Club in Glasgow, let us know, mate, and I'll come along and get a few beers with you.
Oh, that'd be great. It's one of the clubs that I really, really want to do, but I don't know who books it. So, I'll be back up in Edinburgh to play Stenhouse Muir because the comics play them, and obviously at the festival. But that'll be in August. So no one opens their diary that far ahead. But yeah, it's all about the Eurofan at the moment. But it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you, gentlemen.
You too, Tom. It's been great. Thanks very much for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. I will tweet you the links for the podcast later, and so you can tweet it on yourself. Yeah. It's been great talking to you, and look forward to seeing more Eurofan videos, and see you back at Celtic Park soon enough.
All right. Hail, hail. Take care, boys.
Hail, hail, Tom. Take it easy, mate.
Bye-bye.